Ms. Brown, you claim the defendant got you pregnant and now refuses to do anything for your 2-month-old daughter, Journey, leaving you in financial distress. You claim today's DNA test will prove that he is Journey's father, and you need him to step up and help you support your baby. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jones, you say you are 100% certain you are not her child's biological father and have evidence to support your claim. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Ms. Brown, you say his paternity denial has left you in financial trouble.
Yes, ma'am.
Explain to the court.
Since she was born, I have a hard time, taking care of her financially on my own. I had a job, currently not able to work because of my baby. I've called him. Ryan, she needs
You
Mr.
can't
Jones.
work, why? Because you can't afford child care?
I have no one to keep her. I'm in this alone by myself. I have no support. It's always been hard on me. And I'm like, well, what you want me to do? Rob a bank? Should I go out and steal diapers again? You want me to get arrested again? It's very hard for me. Again, yes.
What happened?
Times are hard. I have no family I can depend on. I have to get it on my own. So therefore, if my kids don't have, I have to go to a store. If they need milk, clothes, shoes, I have to go steal.
Oh, no.
To provide. So when I call
No,
him,
Ms. Brown, you don't have to. That's a crime.
it is.
And if you commit crimes, you get put in jail, prison, and then who's gonna watch your children? You don't ever have to do that. Do you understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were already arrested for that?
Yes, ma'am. So to prevent myself from, going down that road again, I've called him. My baby's wrapped up in towels for 3 days. Mr. Jones, my baby needs diapers now.
Mr. Jones, you haven't helped with the baby at all?
Recently, I have changed states, so I haven't been able to provide for her and the baby as I should. But she chose to be in South Carolina instead of in the state that I'm in. She's in that situation because she chose to stay there.
So wait a minute, you're admitting that you haven't done much for Journey.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know that this child needs diapers, needs milk to survive.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
But you haven't done anything.
I mean, I have done small, you know what I'm saying, as much as I can give.
Do you acknowledge that you are a potential father?
Yes, but I believe I'm not. I'm more on the 95% that I'm not, because it's 5% because I did have sexual relationship with her. So I'm not denying the whole thing, but because of her behavior and because of the things she does and things she says, makes me believe that. And then she got a baby daddy taking care of her.
So what was the nature of this relationship? Take me back. I want to understand this relationship.
Okay, I had just moved with my cousin to North Carolina. I had met her at work, and she had a boyfriend, So I took her from him. Okay, got her from him, literally, from one house to another, and then before we could really get to know each other, it was, she's pregnant,
So you said you were having sex.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were living on the same roof.
Yes, ma'am.
You know one another?
I mean, nope.
So if you were having sex, you knew her.
Yeah. I knew her enough to have sex, but not to know that she was, kind of off. I didn't know all that in the beginning.
Was this relationship a committed relationship, Ms. Brown?
In the beginning, we were just, like I said, I was just leaving out of a relationship. Like I told him, I don't plan on dealing with you until I'm completely done with my relationship that I'm in, no turning back.
You went from one house to another. You ain't tell me you was how you trying to close a relationship and you come from one room to another. That's not closing it.
I completely left my last relationship before I had any dealings with Mr. Jones here.
The same day?
Mr. Jones, like I said, he chased me. When I finally left, no turning back to my last relationship. I'm not turning back, no phone calls, no texts. Me and Mr. Jones, we waste no time. We got straight to it. We moved together. It was just me and him every day, all day, even at work. We even worked together.
So how soon after this did you get pregnant?
It was about 2 weeks, y'all.
It was,
About 2 weeks. About 2 weeks, and then I came home from work, and it was a surprise. And I'm like, hold on, we haven't even went through the first You know,
it has not been 2 weeks. I went to the emergency room
Girl.
and they did the ultrasound, and I was like, well, do you guys know how far along I am? They was like, they can't tell because, you know, it's like kind of just the beginning. But they gave me an estimate due date of May 29th. So they was like, you know, follow up with your doctor. So I had to find a doctor, you know, and I found the doctor, went to the doctor. He was there, asked questions, you know, when was the conception date? They said September the 4th.
That don't mean nothing. You could the weekend before you came over to my house. That's the same time. That's what I'm saying. You went from one house to another. So how am I supposed to say that that's my child?
Mr. Jones, it's your assertion that since she went from her ex's house to your house, that it could potentially be her ex's child?
Yeah, that was a big issue. And at first I was okay with that. You know, I was, you know, like I said, I'm an older man. You know, I'm almost 40.
A little boy.
I'm almost 40, messing with a little girl. So I got caught up and I got my hand caught in the cookie jar. I can't change that. You know, it was always a what if and this person here, this friend here, and this guy pop up and she gone to her daddy's house.
Because you don't do nothing for my child. The only guy you're talking about is a friend that I have financially that helps me support because he don't do nothing.
A friend it's just too many friends, you know?
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. When she told you she was pregnant, did you initially doubt?
He told me I was pregnant. We was in the house one day and I was like, I'm tired, I'm sleepy. He was
Yeah,
like,
I knew.
He said, you're pregnant. I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Like Daddy
So the
said
next
when I met her,
day-
she had a pudge in her stomach. I thought I was from drinking beer. She
The
was
next
already.
day, I went and took a pregnancy test, and it came back positive. So I went to his cousin's house, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant.
So you said she was showing quickly for you. You said you turn around and she was showing, which made you feel like she had gotten pregnant before.
Yeah, I just had an intuition. It's just something told me that. And then all of a sudden, voila. I'm like, well, damn, was that right? Did you come here like this? Then she kept adding stuff on top of the garbage to make me
Adding
believe.
what?
The friends, the text messages, the way she talked about the child.
So you see text messages
Yes, ma'am.
and you think she's already pregnant when she comes to live with you.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the basis of your doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I want to hear from your witness, Mr. Jones. Please stand, ma'am. Step up to the podium. State your name.
My name is Jamila Cross.
Miss Cross, thank you for joining us today. You are
His cousin. I'm his first cousin.
Mr. Jones' first cousin. What do you know about this situation?
She told me she was pregnant. I told her she didn't know if she wanted to keep the baby. So I was like, well, if you're not gonna keep the baby, I suggest you not tell him because he wants a baby. He's about to be 40 soon and he wants a baby. He hasn't had a baby. And she told me that she don't know who the baby daddy is.
Lie.
I have,
Let me see that, please, Jerome.
she wants to give the baby up for adoption. I said, you can't do that without his signature.
This is a text message conversation.
On Facebook, yes.
Oh, so on Facebook?
Yes.
How you sign those papers without his signature? I Googled that and you can't do that. Bye, crazy lady. Shake my head. The response, I definitely didn't need his signature. Nowhere on that paperwork. I don't know who her dad is.
Yeah, I said that. Just to shut them up. Like,
And that's
I don't
just-
need
you're not
that
shutting
nobody
one
up.
time she says that.
You're not shutting
during
nobody
the whole
up.
Pregnancy.
Well, Ms. Brown, I mean, let's keep it real. I mean, that doesn't shut anything down. That opens everything up.
No, it didn't. shut it down.
Conversation,
It did.
doubt. That opens up doubt.
Okay, if this is my child, why ain't I on the birth certificate?
Was you there? Was you there, Ryan? Did
Was you
even...
making it able for him to be there playing
How
games?
could I make it able for a man to
Man,
be there when
she
this
keep
man
telling me
tells me
she's
he is
pregnant
not
one
allowed
time.
to come because he just started a new job?
'Cause she playing
I just
on the
started my
day.
new job. I don't want to leave
She's
my
playing.
job.
I'm not finna keep taking days off. I just
You
got
never
the
took a
job.
day off.
Just got it.
It don't matter.
She want me to take days off 2-3 weeks ahead of time. She won't just drop, oh, I'm going to the hospital. I need you to be sure. And then when she did go to the hospital, she waited till the baby was here to call me.
Listen, you're indicating that you would have been there for the birth of the child, but you got a new job.
Yes, ma'am. I mean,
Ms.
I could
Brown,
have
you
put
saying
more
he
effort.
hasn't done anything, you don't even think he wanted to be there.
Clearly,
We all could have helped her.
Journey is 2 months old.
2 months.
You saying to date hasn't done anything.
Hasn't done nothing, never seen her. Only thing he got was pictures and
I ain't never did
And
nothing.
sometimes through Facebook or even over the phone, you know, you get to call and hear her voice. Like,
something is better than nothing. Believe that.
What have
Something
you
is better
done,
than
Mr.
nothing.
Jones?
I mean, like I said, altogether, I might have sent maybe 100, 125. So I knew she was gonna do that.
That's obviously you're
funny,
saying
like I
that's
said.
a lie.
Like I said,
That is
nothing.
a lie.
Nothing is. See, I ain't even got the receipts. I
went
started to bring the receipts, Your
in his
Honor.
head.
I wish you would have, because
I
it's a
would.
courtroom.
Yeah, because
In
it
his
would shut her
head.
up. Because, like I said, it wasn't much. It was 25, 30 here, 20. When I ain't got no diapers, I ain't got no milk.
He don't do nothing.
Your Honor, one time when she did come up, we was supposed to take the DNA test. At like 2 o'clock, she had called me.
Mr.
Go
Jones,
see
is this what you're about to testify to? Is this the timeline you
Yes,
submitted
ma'am.
to the court?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead. Let me look at it.
Okay, so I say about roughly 2:30, we was talking, going back and forth about me coming to do the DNA test. And she had a rental car at the time. So come 4:15, 5 o'clock, I go to where I think she's at.
Okay.
So I call her 15 times, 10 texts from 4:15 to at least 4:30. I'm sitting there waiting on her.
At the DNA testing facility?
No, we had the home DNA test.
Oh, okay, so
We was
you
gonna
waiting
do
for her
the
to come
mail-in.
over?
Yeah, we was gonna do the mail-in. I waited till every bit about 4:45, maybe 5 o'clock. No answer from Miss Brown, no text back, no nothing. Come 10 o'clock that night, here come Dorissa. I was asleep. I gave the baby a bath and fell asleep. My phone, she had every excuse. But how was that lies?
Lies, Ryan.
What happened?
What happened, Ms. Brown? He said...
I wasted my time, basically. I went and got a rental car, like, just to go ahead and get this, before we came here, to go ahead and get this out the way so he can step up and be a man, you know, and help me with our child. I get a DNA test, a home DNA test. I drive to Charlotte. You know, I'm up in Charlotte for like 3 days. All right, Mr. Jones, I'm here. You come to where I'm at. I'm at my daddy's house. You know where he lives.
You at your dad, you a lie.
So he never comes. So I go get a room where we stayed at once upon a time. You know, I was like, I'm on North Tryon, where we used to live with the full kitchen and stove and refrigerator. They had the 2 beds. Okay. I'm waiting. Call me when you get outside. Phone never rung. So I call him. Where you at? I'm here. I'm still in the same place. You in the parking lot? I walks outside in the parking lot. I don't see him. So then his cousin called me, and her words were, "We was going to come, but you didn't answer." I'm like, so y'all never showed up? Y'all never came? Y'all wasn't there?
She told her.
So wait a minute. So when you got the ride, you saying now you went to the wrong place?
Yeah, because I didn't know, like I said, I just moved to North Carolina, so I didn't know.
He says he was calling you. Did you get his phone calls?
Ryan did not call me.
Somebody lying.
Mm-hmm.
Were you trying to call him?
I called him one time. You outside? Where you at?
At 10 o'clock. She tell on herself. She lied so much, she triple over it.
Okay, well, wait a minute. Was it 10 o'clock, Ms. Brown?
I don't remember the exact time. I just know I told him he needed to hurry up.
Okay,
I told
remember
him to
this.
hurry up and get here.
Why ain't my name on the birth certificate?
I told him he needed to hurry up and get here because you're not there. You're not a man. You want to be a little boy. You want to stay with your mama. You don't want to do nothing for your daughter.
I want to stay with my mama.
Exactly. You don't want to do nothing. You want to
Why
keep on
you
doing
up
what
there
you
lying?
do. Ain't no lying.
I don't live with my mama. Why is you lying?
Listen,
strike you. I'm telling you, you better watch out. One of them things for in your ear.
Ms. Brown, Mr. Jones, this isn't getting us anywhere.
No, ma'am, it's not.
not.
The only thing I want to know is that's my child.
And that's what I have. The results are here.
Thank you, Lord.
Jerome, the envelope, please.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Brown versus Jones, when it comes to 2-month-old Journey Brown, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Jones, you are her father.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Like, thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
What do you feel in this moment, Ms. Brown?
Like, I'm relieved. I'm happy. Hopefully he can step up, you know, get people out of his ear, face reality.
How does it feel, Mr. Jones, to know you have a beautiful little girl?
I'm happy. I'm scared. I'm happy. I'm excited.
I appreciate the fact that you stood there and just said, I'm happy, but I'm scared. Because there's nothing wrong with that. And so now I want you to channel all of those emotions that you have into her. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Dorris, you say for the past 22 years you've doubted that you are Lavelle Dorris Jr.'s biological father, yet find yourself today in court owing more than $30,000 in back child support.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim it is medically impossible for you to have a child after sustaining an injury.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Newell, you say you have zero doubt that Mr. Dorris is your son's biological father and want the lies, accusations, and drama to end today.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Dorris, tell me specifically why you doubt Lavelle Jr. is your biological son.
Well, Your Honor, I was about 11, 12 years old, and I had a bike accident. I was riding a bike with no seat on it, and my brakes went out, and I flipped over the handlebars, and the poles went up into my groins. And I was in the hospital for 37 days. I had to learn how to walk all over again. And I got better. The doctor told me it's a possibility that I won't be able to have children.
Okay.
So that's why I'm here. I have more doubt. We was together no more than like 4 months. One day, she went over a family member's house, and I walked up and see her on the porch talking to another guy. She go in the house. So I talked to this guy. The guy told me out his mouth that he was messing with her. They was sleeping together.
No, Your Honor.
Yes,
So not
yes.
true. When we first met, we met on a bus stop, first of all. When we
Racing
first
the
met, I
Roosevelt.
wasn't even living over there. When we first met, we met on the bus stop, had a small conversation, engaged in it while waiting on my bus, talked a little bit, found out our birthdays are the same day. Ooh, wild coincidence. I'm 1 year older than him. So that also comes from me messing with younger guys. 2, you're gonna turn around and tell me that another man was at my grandfather's house? How? I wasn't even living there, first of all. Second of all, we were living together when my son was conceived.
But that don't make Junior mine. You was messing around.
Excuse me.
Your family stayed on one side of the neighborhood where I met you as the same neighborhood that I had the same guy I'm having a doubt with.
Okay.
Neighborhood.
And again,
So when this
the
same
fact
guy
of the
you're
matter
having the
still
doubt with,
remains is you were at the hospital. You sat up there with your mouth. I don't want no animosity. Yes, I left him by the time I was 4 months pregnant, and I have my reasons for that. Ask him about that. I went back home to my
I put you
parents.
out the house.
I went
I told
home
you
to
when I
my
saw you
parents.
on the porch, when I saw you on the porch
No,
with dude,
Lavelle.
I told you to
Mr.
get your
Dorris.
stuff, come to my house,
Mr.
get
Dorris.
your stuff, and leave.
Mr.
No,
Dorris,
the
Mr.
reason-
Dorris, this other gentleman,
Yes, Your Honor.
I need you to explain to me, to the court, how your doubt is shaped. I want to know the specifics.
Make sure you get to telling it right now.
I didn't know nothing about this guy
So you all were together, you didn't know anything about another guy?
until I saw her with this guy. We broke up from there. And then I was at the house. You told me to go upstairs to her newborn baby before Junior was born. Go in her bag and get a bottle. I pull out nudie pictures of her.
You
Out of the diaper bag?
Out of the diaper bag, Your Honor.
what nudie pictures?
Oh, you
Of
don't
who?
remember now? You don't remember the
Lavelle,
nudie pictures.
Mr.
So
Dorris,
everything I
stop
saw-
lying. Stop lying. Please
Your
stop
Honor.
lying. Because for
Your
one,
Honor.
you wasn't even allowed in my grandfather's house. So
No,
there's
you was
way
at
in the
my
world
house when I
you
found
went
the
in my
nudie
grandfather's
pictures.
house.
You was in my
Second of all,
bedroom. The nudie
Lavelle,
pictures out.
Mr. Doris,
Come
the
on,
person
man.
in question,
Come on.
I didn't meet this
Let's
person
go.
till after my son turned a year old.
Your Honor.
This person stepped up to the plate and was a man to my son and is still a man and a father to my son till this day. All because you didn't want to stand up to your responsibility. While you sitting up here running your mouth, why don't you tell them how you stood in the hospital with me? I don't want no animosity between you and me before my son gets in this world. Yet and still, did you tell them, hey, I'm getting married a week later. You tell me to bring my son to your house for a New Year's Eve celebration and it turn out it's your freaking wedding day? Are you serious? Have me walk in on some stuff like that with my son?
Ms. Newell, I'm going to put a bookmark on that story, Ms. Newell, but I want to understand what we were speaking about. You saw these pictures in a diaper bag. This is your testimony.
She was at my house. She was living with me, Your Honor.
Okay.
Zipper side pocket, pulled out a Polaroid picture. Remember this back in the day, Polaroid picture. I know her body.
I remember those.
I think you do.
Okay, so you saw the picture and you said it was of her.
I showed it to her.
And you showed it to her, and what did she say?
She said that wasn't me. Come on now. Come on now.
Once you confronted her with the picture, she said it was not her. Where did the relationship go from there?
Down, straight downhill.
Nowhere.
So from that point, you didn't trust her.
No more.
At some point, you said you saw her with another man.
Yes.
And when was this?
This was like the end of the 4 months we was together. She was pregnant already. I know she's pregnant.
So if she's already pregnant, why would you question whether or not you're the father?
She with
Because
other
of the
guys.
so-called bike
Because you
accident.
feel like she was also with those other guys before.
Yes.
Lavelle,
Other guys.
stop.
But you say you signed the birth certificate.
Yes.
And if you had doubts, why did you do that?
Look, Facebook. Imagine
That's what this is about.
the son
Come on
is
with it.
22 years old. He's a grown man today. Just last year, I get a call on the
That wasn't
phone
last
from
year.
a friend of mine, a female friend of mine, was like, Val, we got a friend that's saying that Little Vale's his son.
There's a man.
I'm like, what?
That's
She gave me the number, gave me his
that-
number,
that
and I called him
is
up.
a
And what
lie.
did-
The
I'm
man,
gonna
what
say
did the
this.
man tell me? The man told me out of his mouth, he said, man, she told me that he was my son. Miss Newell had the nerve to tell me I was a lie. She was on the phone listening. He didn't tell me that. I called him.
The Ville, back
Come on in there, he
Mr.
didn't click on
Dorris,
this.
cell phones didn't have that type of connection. What technology are you in?
Cell phones.
Cell phones didn't have that technology.
I
and then
called
you didn't
him.
even have a phone. So
I
wait,
called
long. How
him.
you gonna
Man,
say
I've been having the same phone number for 15
Mr.
years.
Dorris, you're lying. You can't keep a
Dorris?
job, let alone a phone.
Okay.
Miss Dorris?
But I
You can't keep
got
a
to get
job.
that job now.
Well, you do
Let's
pay
get
for your
some
son
order.
now.
Let's get some order.
I am.
Now.
Let's get some order. Ms. Newell, is it possible that another man told him this?
He did. And he would admit he did. For the simple fact, by the time my son was 1 year old, this is when this man walked into my life. This man walked in and stood up and be the dad to not only his son, but a son that I had before him. And still to this day, this man don't care what nobody says because he potty trained him. He took him to the park. He taught him how to walk. He taught him how to talk. He taught him how to be a man. Not this fool, but him. So yes, he's gonna continue to stand up and say that he's my son's dad. And still to this day, my son acknowledges him as his dad. That's what this is about, a Facebook post. My son went on Facebook and acknowledged the men of his life.
It wasn't even
Acknowledge.
It wasn't even
I let
acknowledged.
him
He
talk.
was saying that he was his son.
I let him talk.
You know
and
what I'm saying?
again,
He
this
said
man's-
my son,
this-
Junior
Let's
didn't
talk.
say
I let
nothing
him
about
talk.
that.
I want to understand you both. Let's
I
talk
let
one
him
at
talk.
a time. Let's talk one at a time.
If I didn't
Again.
care about Junior, you know.
Let me why
I
are you
moved
calling
out
him
of state.
Junior? You
I
just
moved-
said he
I
wasn't
moved-
yours.
I moved. That's his name. His
Why are
name
you
is
calling him
Dorris
Junior? Like I said.
What I supposed to call him?
And again,
Him?
if
So
this
listen,
man,
listen,
if this
listen.
man was
Well,
brought up,
if I didn't care, I moved 800 miles away. I moved down south.
you moved away because they were
I moved
after
because of job situations. I was working.
You
and she
moved
was
away
getting
'cause they
child
was
support
after you.
at that time. She called me up out the blue, talking about I got to come and get him. He's acting up. So I'm thinking it's one of her games, Yana. So I give it a week. She calling me every day for a week. I'd stop what I doing. That week was over. I stopped what I doing.
And what did you
Took a
tell
day
my
off
husband?
work. Took a day off work from Alabama. Rented a car and drove 800 miles to Chicago to get this boy.
So
This
you
boy.
went to pick up Lavelle Jr.
Went to come all the way to Chicago to get him.
So did he pick him up?
No, yeah, he came to my house.
No, I didn't.
But
no,
I
I
didn't-
didn't.
he
No, I
came
didn't.
to my-
Your
at
Honor,
the
see,
time, he came
I didn't
one
come
at a
to-
time.
Your Honor, let me explain.
You
One
just
at
asked
a
me a
time.
question.
Now explain.
I'm asking Miss Newell,
Okay.
did he come to your house to get him?
Yeah, he came to my house. to
And
get
then did he pick him up?
him. No, he didn't take him anywhere.
Why didn't you take him?
Because he had me
Doris,
under the
let me
impression
tell
that
you.
he lived in Chicago
Let me tell
and
you
he was
something.
all the way in Alabama. I didn't know the one he was with, didn't know where he was at, and no, I was not gonna allow you to take my son out of state, and I
At
don't
the
know where he
time-
is.
at
What
the
type of
time-
mother would I have been
So,
to let you
okay.
take my son across the state? Where were you when my son got his jaw broke?
I was in the hospital. I don't want to spend the night up there at the hospital.
No.
I didn't.
Let's talk about a child being put out.
Let's get some order. Let's get some order.
You're not gonna disrespect
Let's
me.
get some order. What I want to know is, at the point you sign that birth certificate, and you know by signing that, legally you're recognized as his father, which is why you're responsible for child support.
Yes, I don't got no problem
What
with
I
that.
don't understand is, if you know that it's impossible for this child to be your son because of this medical condition, why would you sign the birth certificate?
I had doubts, but I was so happy to have a son. And just something that's been bothering me for the longest, Your Honor.
Yeah, it's been bothering you since Facebook.
My mother, it's been bothering her. May her soul rest in peace. While we battling breast cancer with her, also I'm dealing with this Facebook.
No, you wouldn't.
So, Mr. Dorris, now you find yourself, what, $30,000 behind in child support.
And, Your Honor, if he's my son, I don't have no problem paying that. None.
Yeah. Well, then why you call me somebody to check where I got and you
Because
wanted
that's
the
my
money
son.
back?
That's what I need to do.
But
Why
you're
you talking about
saying
a
you're
check
here
that you wanted back?
today because you don't believe he is.
I don't, sorry. I don't. Because of the accident. Because of the things that she was doing.
Again, an
She was
accident,
a
but
lot.
Jerome, I think it's time we meet Lavelle Jr. Can you please escort him into the courtroom?
I'm gonna bring it right up to the witness stand.
Hello, Lavelle. Thank you for joining us today. We've been in court this morning having a very passionate discussion about you, and you're a young man now, you're 23. You're old enough to have an opinion on this.
Well, Your Honor, mostly what upset me the most is why wait 22 years? That's a big question in my mind, my heart, what I go through, what I've been going through lately when I found out about it. And knowing that, seeing that my parents can't even get along, is like, that's a real painful feeling right there. Knowing that the way I grew up, you know, I was a basketball player, you know, to grammar school, my mom was there, but high school, she wasn't. My dad supported me in none of my games. It kind of hurt seeing my teammate fathers over there and knowing that mine couldn't be there.
So did you have any idea that Mr. Dorris had doubt about whether or not you were his biological son or was denying that you were his biological child?
Not at first, I didn't.
You didn't know that?
Not at first, not.
When did you realize or come to know that he had doubts?
Been like about a couple of months. You know?
Just a couple months ago?
Yeah.
So you're 23 years old?
Yeah.
And up until a couple of months ago, in your mind, this was your father?
That's the only guy I ever seen as my father.
You got his name?
Yeah. And I love it. It's just so many things, you know. I hear so much people say, man, you act just like your father. You look just like him, you know.
And the other man that your father is saying that came out and told him, I'm Lavelle Jr.'s father. Do you know who this other man is?
I know of him.
You know of him?
Yes.
But you don't know him?
I've never been there in my life to even get a chance to even know him like that.
Really? Was it ever said to you that there's a possibility that someone else could be your biological father?
No, my mom.
Never in your life?
No, my mom never told me, never said anything like that. Everything I've been laid on as Lavelle Sr. is my father.
Your Honor, that's a cool kid. I mean, that man right there,
man.
he coming up with his head up. And I respect
that.
that.
Single mom.
What I'm trying to understand from you, Mr. Dorris, is there is a level of adoration for this young man
Yes, it is.
you have, and I'm trying to understand, is it because you love the fact that he's your namesake and that he's a handsome, smart young man,
All because of his
but you
mama.
still have doubts? Or do you even really have a doubt?
I have a doubt because of the doctor, Your Honor. That's the only doubt I really have.
But he has
And
a
then
sibling
what she was
before him.
doing. And I'm not even tripping on that. My biggest doubt is what the doctor
with
told
that,
my
what she
mother
was
and
doing.
me.
Stop
You know,
All right.
he said I might don't be able to reproduce children. Might. So I was holding
Mighty
on to
funny
that
you got
might that
two.
them couldn't be mine.
All right, I think it's time to go to the results.
Thank you, Your Honor.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Dorris versus Newell, when it comes to 23-year-old Lavelle Dorris Jr., it has been determined by this court. Mr. Dorris,
Yes, Your Honor.
you are his father.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Damn. Get that up out of here, boo. Nah.
Can I approach him, Your Honor?
Your dad like to give you a hug. Is that okay?
Yes.
He said yes.
Come on up.
I love you, dude. I swear to God. I love you, man. You know it.
You can go stand with your dad if you want, and your mom.
Now, he can stay over there. I'll see him when we get home, because I don't want to
Thank
be
you.
nowhere near that.
Thank you, Yana. No doubt. Thank you. That's all I wanted. That's a chapter in my life, and it's been a long time. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long time. I
Lavelle
need
Jr.,
him.
how does it feel for you, hon, to know what you've always been told, but now you know today that your father had a level of doubt that this court was able to alleviate? How does it feel?
Feel good to know the truth.
It does.
Yeah,
You'll
it
never
feel
hear it
good.
again.
Ms. Newell, I know that you were adamant from the beginning that there was no question.
I apologize,
And-
Ms. Newell, but I had doubts, and I'm sorry for my son to send him through this.
And that's a great start, because ultimately you want to be able to communicate about those things.
Yes, that's
And you want to be able to talk about everything.
Right.
And Lavelle, you got your hands full. You do have your mother and your father, but your hands are full. That's why this court offers resources to every family. And we hope you take advantage of it, because sometimes you might just need to go somewhere and say to somebody, ooh, these two parents are mine.
I think he's done that already.
Okay, I got my hands full. But one thing's for sure, they both love you.
love him to death.
All right, I wish you the very best of luck. Court is adjourned. Ms. Lindsay, you say that after years of lies from your mother and uncertainty about who your father is, you believe you finally found him.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say everyone in town, including his family, knows Mr. Dannenbrink is your father, and you intend to prove that today. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Dannenbrink,
Yes, Your Honor.
you admit to having a sexual relationship with Ms. Lindsay's mother, but say there is no way you're her biological father.
That's right, Your Honor. I met her, and we just had like a hit-and-run situation. She disappeared on me, and then we got back together again, and a couple of days later, she went her way, and it just kept on for years that way. And there's no way she could be my daughter, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Lindsay, what do you mean everyone in town knows that he's your father? What do you mean
Well,
by
Your
that?
Honor, okay, so about 35 years ago, my mom does admit to having a child with Mr. Dannenbrink. And
How many years ago?
About 35, around there.
Okay.
And when I was about 16 years old, an ex of Mr. Dannenbrink's came to my house and accused me of being the child that they had had together. And when I had asked my mother about that, she told me no, that it wasn't true.
You were 16?
Yes.
And an ex of Mr. Dannenbrink's comes to your house?
Yes.
And says, you're the child that your mother had with Mr. Dannenbrink?
Yes, Your Honor.
In other words, the ex thinks you're the child that came in between her and Mr. Dannenbrink?
Yes, Your Honor.
When she said this to you, what did you say?
Well, at first I was like, what? You're wrong. There's no way. And I came to my mother and I talked to her about it, and she told me no, that he was not my father, that another man that she had told me was my dad.
She said this other man is your father, but you'd never met that man?
No, I still haven't, so I don't know who that is.
Okay, proceed.
So about 4 or 5 years ago, we all pretty much met up again in church, and I knew that Mr. Dannenbrink was the person that I had thought, or at least was accused of being the child of, but I was too nervous to approach him for pretty much rejection. And so I just left it alone. And then my mother and him had started talking again, and we became more close, I guess you would say. We lived right next door to each other, and we started having barbecues together and spent a few holidays together and things like that.
The man next door, your neighbor.
Yes.
You believe he's your biological father.
Yes.
But you've never said anything to him.
Not really.
Wow. Ms. Hampton?
Yes.
What was the nature of your relationship with Mr. Dannenbrink? Were you just dating, committed?
Your Honor, this was like in the late 70s, and we dated off and on, and I was involved with somebody else, and he was involved with somebody else. 5 years ago, we met back up and started having conversation and platonic relationship. We're best of friends.
So, Mr. Dannenbrink, did you know about the pregnancy?
I did not, Your Honor. She never told me that she was pregnant. She never told me I even had a child.
You didn't
Your
tell
Honor,
him you were
Your Honor,
pregnant?
I had no reason to tell him because he's not the father.
So you were confident of that?
Yes, I am 100%.
But were you sleeping with Mr. Dannenbrink during the window of conception?
Not as far as I know. I believe that I got pregnant between June and July.
What are you holding, Ms. Lindsay?
I'm holding a calendar.
Jerome, will you please hand me her evidence? Thank you.
You're welcome.
What is this calendar outline?
This calendar shows, for one, the day that I was born. And if you count back, if I was born full term, the conception would be between May and June. And the doctors did say that I was born a month premature, which puts my due date at March 11th, which my mother would be right at that time. However, I had no health problems when I was born. I was born at a normal weight.
No,
and
Your Honor, she was born at 5 1/4 pounds.
all of your children have been small.
She was premature.
Mr. Dannenbrink,
Yes, Your Honor.
do you agree with the dates set forth on this calendar?
I really couldn't tell you because back then it was hectic. I mean, I had so much going on. That
It was hectic.
Yes. It was back in the 70s, so I'm sure you understand what.
No, I was just a kid then, so.
I did a lot of drugs back then, so I really couldn't tell you.
Oh, so hectic has many levels.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Yes, Your
so
Honor.
physically and mentally hectic.
Yes, Your Honor.
So is it safe to say there was a lot of sex going on during that time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Much of which you may not have a full recollection.
Correct, Your Honor.
How long did your sexual relationship with Miss Hampton last?
We got together. We were together for maybe a couple of weeks, and then she disappeared. And then we meet again a few years later. So it was like that.
So you all just were kind of sex partners?
Yes.
Just
Correct, Your Honor.
Whatever.
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't know, what's the word? Friends with benefits.
Friends with benefits.
But were y'all friends? I don't even get the friend part here.
Yeah.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Bump and go.
Bump and go.
Yeah.
Okay, Jerome. Is that a legal term that we just created here at
created it,
Paternity
yeah.
Court? Okay. So, Ms. Lindsay, your mother's saying that Mr. Dannenbrink is not your biological father.
Right.
What leads you to not believe your mother?
The doctors did say that I was born a month early, but they also said that I was going to be a boy the entire time she was pregnant with me. So they could have been wrong. Second thing, my mom does admit to having a child with Mr. Dannenbrink. Throughout my life, though, the dates have kind of changed a little bit. I remember at one time it was that she was an older sister. Then I remember at another time she was a younger sister than me. And she was stillborn at birth.
Hold on now.
Your Honor.
Wait a minute. So you've been told a story
Yes.
by your mother that she did have a child with Mr. Dannenbrink.
Yes.
You were told this child passed away
Yes, at birth.
Yes.
at
Your Honor.
birth.
Yes, Your Honor. I had a stillborn.
And was that Mr. Dannenbrink's child?
Yes, Your Honor.
She never said nothing to me about that.
No. I
So-
admit that I did not.
You never mentioned it to him?
No.
Miss Lindsay, I'm looking at your face. It doesn't seem like you're believing a lot of your mother's testimony.
I don't.
Why?
She says that she had this child. I've never seen the papers, although I've asked a few times. And on top of that one, I've went to the public records place. There's no proof of her birth or death.
I don't know why there wouldn't be any record of her birth and death, but I do have an autopsy report.
Have you seen this report?
No.
What I don't understand, Ms. Lindsay, is why would your mother lie about this?
Because it's not the first time. She didn't technically lie about another brother, but she didn't tell me about another brother. She got pregnant and gave him up for adoption. It went through social media that he found me. And I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? You're not my brother. And I called my mom at that time and I said, I have another brother? And she's like, oh, well, I thought he died. And I was like, what? And
Wait a minute, you thought he died?
It was complicated, Your Honor. I had gotten pregnant by a man that was married, not knowing that he was married. The agreement was that he was going to take the baby because I financially and mentally could not handle having another baby.
But you thought he had passed away?
Yes, Your Honor, because that's what my mother and the doctors had told me.
So, Ms. Lindsay, even if we have several stories that lead us to believe maybe your mother is not being completely forthright.
Right.
Why? What is her motivation? What is the reason why she would lie and say Mr. Dannenbrink is not your biological father if he could be?
I don't know. I'm not my mom, so I don't know exactly what goes through her head. I have children, and I don't lie to any of them, so I don't understand why.
Are you at the
would.
point now where you just feel like you've caught your mom into so many lies that you don't even know why she lies, you just know she does?
No, Your Honor, I don't.
So what was your childhood like growing up? All of these stories. What is this like for you?
Very crazy as a child. I had a big hole, and I filled it with a lot of things that probably weren't the right things to fill it with. I'm still searching for that father figure. I had a stepdad at one point that abandoned me as well, so.
And so you had a relationship.
Yes.
With your stepfather.
For a small time until he had his own child with my mom, and then I still was the stepchild, so.
And so you're basically alone in all of this.
Kind of, sort of. I mean, I had my friends for a small time, which is kind of funny. I had one friend that was like my best friend, and it just happened to be his son.
Wait, that could potentially be your brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you all were good friends?
Yes.
Just friends, I hope.
Yes, Your Honor. That goes through my head, trust and believe me. Not knowing exactly who my dad is, it does go through my head as to which ones I've dated might have been. So I just try not to think about that.
Wow, yeah. Listen, we can chuckle about it, but the truth is, if you don't know who your father is,
right,
you could have dated your brother.
Yes.
And it's just that simple.
Yeah.
And so you have a photo that you've submitted to the court.
Yes, that is his son and myself.
Do you see a resemblance?
A little bit.
Just a little?
Yeah, because I do look like my mom a lot.
Mr. Dannenbrink, do you see a resemblance?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Ms. Lindsay, what's your relationship like with Mr. Dannenbrink right now?
I want to say he's kind of like a father figure to a point. We kind of joke about him being my dad and me being his daughter.
How do you joke about it?
Just randomly, like people will say, oh, you guys look alike or something like that and things like that. Or he'll say, oh, good morning, my beautiful daughter or something. And I've never had that before, so that's good.
Does he know your children?
Yes, all 4 of my children. They don't have grandpas that are alive. So he has graciously told my children that they're more than welcome to call him grandpa.
Oh.
That's right.
And they do.
You've submitted a letter to the court about how much this truly hurts you. Will you please read that letter?
Yes, I can. I said, 35 years I have walked through this life wondering who I am, whose blood runs through me. Who do I look like? Where do I get my eye color from? Where do I get my nose? These are just a few questions that have plagued my mind. The worst ones, though, are the ones that still hurt me. The questions like, why did you leave? Did you even know about me? If you did, would it have even changed anything? And would you have been proud of me? Why was I not good enough?
Take your time, honey.
From the moment that I can remember, I've always really wanted just my dad.
That was honest and true and real and plain. You know, as I sit in this chair day after day, a lot of times people will say, well, it's gone on 30-something years. I mean, why aren't you past this? when I say it was honest and true and simple and plain, because it was the spirit of a child. And it is your inner child. It's that child in you that still does not have the pieces to her puzzle that she deserves. And that child is going to live on, and she's going to want those answers and need those answers. And when you hear those words, Mom, does it hurt you to hear?
Well, yes, Your Honor, it does. But I still stand firm that Mr. Dannenbrink is not her dad.
And Mr. Dannenbrink, when you heard those words, I see how emotional you are. Yeah. What are you feeling in this moment?
Don't think she is my daughter, but I'm hoping she is.
That's beautiful. I think it's time for the results. Jerome? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Lindsay versus Dannenbrink, when it comes to 35-year-old Bobby Lindsay, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Dannenbrink, you are not her father.
Sorry. It doesn't matter. I consider her my daughter.
How are you feeling, Miss Lindsay? I know this was difficult for you.
Confused, but I'm happy at the same time for closure on that part.
Miss Hampton.
Yes, ma'am.
I have to ask you, do you know who your daughter's biological father is?
I still stand firm that it's another person. He would admit to photographs because he's seen photographs of her through my mother, but physically he would not admit it.
Do you know where he is?
No, Your Honor, I don't.
Do you have any way to find out?
Yes, Your Honor.